So one day I asked myself, what if I could turn my mistakes and challenges into stepping stones for others? That's how this podcast was born. I'm Christina Radix, a former dentist and clinic owner, turned coach, speaker, and DJ. I'm here to help dental professionals thrive and not just survive. On this show, we will go from stress to success through real stories, mindset tools, and my 3+5 formula for work-life harmony. Please subscribe, comment, and share if you believe that the dental world needs more fulfilled, grounded, and inspired people. So let's dive in.
Good to meet you finally.
Yeah, finally. So nice to meet you. I was just thinking before jumping on, like what made me contact you, and it's like you have this niche already on LinkedIn with your quotes that people love.
Yeah. That's kind of my little niche for sure.
Yeah, that's great. That's really great because I love quotes.
Yep, I do as well. But I love all the content that you put out there for people that realizing there's other things outside of the operatory and the chair, that there's other ways to run the business and do things. So it's awesome.
Thank you so much. It took me a long time to realize that. And I went through, just like I'm telling in many of my posts, burnout, and it felt like I had lost myself because I thought I would always have my clinic.
Yep.
And when you're there having your clinic and you're at the place where you thought that you would be happy and have everything and realize that it's something more that I want and you're not happy. I think I have been speaking with so many dentists, and some people are just seeing it like, okay, I want to do something else, and they just start with something else. But I felt that I was lost. It became like a crisis instead. So it depends of the personality.
Well, I think that's the hard part because everybody's going to have a different experience. And you can't really look at one other person, how they did it, and do it the same way because it's not authentic and genuine to you. And you have to do what makes you happy. Yeah. You definitely seem happy now, so that's good.
Yeah, I'm super happy. I'm happy because I really feel that I'm helping so many people in different stages of their lives, in different stages of their career. I'm helping a dentist who is opening her dental practice in a year. And I remember how happy I was in that stage. So it's not that I'm not reflecting on where I'm now. I'm seeing it from her point where she is now. But with my experience, I know what she should think about.
Yep.
For example, the money. We are really bad when it comes to the money part as dentists because we know how to work with our hands, and that's how we are taught. So, but please tell us about you and your work, because I have to be honest, I don't know what a DSO is doing.
So a dental support organization in the U.S. and Canada is primarily where we focus. Is someone either private equity or an individual owner or a group of owners that own multiple dental practices. So in the U.S., it could be 2, 3, it could be 50. The largest has over 1,900. So it's a different way of looking at the business. But kind of like what you talked about in the very beginning. There's dentists that want to own their own practice. There's dentists that would have more of a lifestyle practice. There's dentists that would rather show up 8 to 5 and let someone else run all the business and the other side of it, the leadership side of things. And there's a dental home for everybody. And I think that includes clinicians, it includes the teams that work in the practices, it includes the patients. Everybody has to find the dental home that's best for them. So it's nice that there's different types of dentistry out there. Like I said, there's private practice, there's DSOs, and I can honestly say after 20 plus years, I've seen great DSOs, I've seen not great DSOs. I've seen great private practices, I've seen not great private practices. A lot of it's just, how you want to run the business and how you want to live your dental life. It's great that there's options.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I try to mute when I hear my dog barking.
Just wants to join the conversation, that's all.
It's always like that something is happening when I have a podcast. It's always like, or Amazon comes with a package, or a package to the neighbor. Well, so how does it like a normal day look for you?
So I'm more on the sales leadership side. So I have teams that, call on private practitioners, and I have teams that call on more of the DSO space. And really where we focus on is end-to-end water solutions. So it's somewhat the dirty secret in dentistry. About 70% of practices don't test, shock, and treat their water. So that's really where we focus. It's the number one instrument used in dentistry. You need water, you need a compressor, and you need a vacuum to run a practice. It's great to have patients, but if one of those three is down, you're not really seeing patients. So we really work with groups to make sure that they're up and running and that they're safe and compliant when it comes to their end-to-end water solutions.
Yeah, interesting, because it's just like there are so many things that we have to be able to have a running clinic, and that's why we are so dependent on different things, like as if the electricity goes, okay, then many people, it's not just dentists, but it's literally you cannot do anything. When that happened to my practice, didn't happen so often, but the electricity went, it was like I was thinking in my head, okay, what can we do? But we couldn't do anything. It's like we are
there's a lot of things that happen in a practice that we don't think about. And I know from a lot of the work that you do around mindset and coaching and developing, there's the leadership aspect, but then, there's all the aspects of what you need to actually run a practice outside of just making sure patients are showing up for care. There's a lot of things we have to do on a daily basis and be more proactive than reactive to make sure that clinic is up and running. Like you talked about in the very beginning, when you're in dental school, it's all about hand speed and learning the craft. And I know the biggest complaint I always have with clinicians is we weren't taught business or leadership in school. But I think even if people were, I don't know if they would pay attention, and it'd probably be one ear and out the other, because your job in school is to get your hand speed up and learn your craft. And then it's one of those things you don't know what you don't know, and you get out there, and really at the end of the day, dentistry is a people business. You're managing people, and you have to look at your team as your number one customer. And if you take care of the team's going to take care of the patients, and then the patients will take care of the community. And that's how you build a thriving small business inside that community that you live and work in. But I think a lot of it's just trial and error and really trying to figure out what's the way you want to run your dental practice, because you can run it any way you want.
Yeah. What is it that you have seen in the practices that are thriving and running well, not just economically, but also as team and with patients? What is it that you have seen that they have?
I think a lot of it comes down to leadership. Probably a lot of it comes to the golden rule. They treat the team as they would want to be treated. They're not going to let patients treat their team poorly. They're going to step in if that happens and realize that the team is there. And then I think on the other side of the business side, they're able to systemize and operationalize things. So it's running like a smooth business. And that's where we see a lot of people get in trouble if they open up one practice. Well, they think I can make more money if I open a second practice and a third practice. But like you said, with your hands, you could make a lot of money fast. But eventually you get to that point where it's no longer about you and it's no longer about your hands. You have to have associates. You have to have other people. You have to give up trust and start delegating. And if you're not systemized and operationalized, you're going to struggle with that aspect. Once you start getting past probably, say, 3 practices, it's no longer about you. It's about building a team and building the SOPs to run that team.
Yeah. It's so complex, because it's also, like you said, even if you teach these things in school, maybe it's too early in the career to really understand. It would be good to at least hear it, but there are so many things to learn, so maybe it wouldn't enter or be understandable as it is later in your career. But and the thing with, for example, it's so complex, because then you have persons like me that were thinking too much on everyone, the patients and the team, and I couldn't stand a rejection, that somebody wouldn't be happy, and that's also a problem. Because so you think that is a good leader is one who's listening to everyone, but if you're listening too much and you cannot put your foot down, then you're a bad leader as well. So I have realized that I had so many issues.
I think we all do.
I think that we should have like people, and we are so young when we're studying. We don't even know ourselves. We don't know what the role we will be in. But in the school, maybe they should do like a personality test. What do you think about that? To see like, okay, here are your strengths and maybe here are your weaknesses that you should work on.
But definitely, I think, perfection is the enemy of good. And when you look at clinicians, they're the top 1%, not only of earners, but of intellect and knowledge. And when you really break it down, that's where a lot of them struggle. They want to be perfectionists. And it's hard to, if you watch some of the largest businesses, their thought process is, if we got 80% right, we'll build the plane and figure the last 20% as we're going. Whereas other times I see a lot of people have that mindset where it has to be 100% perfect. Well, it's never going to be 100% perfect. So then they struggle of, how do we launch this? How do we do anything? So I think a lot of it is just, like you said, getting comfortable with yourself, realizing what your strengths are, realizing what your weaknesses are. And you're probably never going to get those weaknesses to perfection. So sometimes you just got to ride with the strengths that you have and find ways to do that. But I think a lot of it comes from building a strong team around you. And that's the other area that, you struggle. But I don't know if you know Dr. Howard Fran, runs Dental Town in the U.S., but I think he broke it down pretty nicely too. One time I heard him say where when you're in high school, you had to get the best grades to get in the right college. When you're in college, you had to get the best grades to get into the right university. You had to get the best grades to get in the right dental school, to get in the right residency. So he said what it taught us was everybody behind us, to the left, to the right, in front of us is kind of our competition. So then you get out in the real world and you still view it that way, instead of embracing who's there. And I think probably one of the more interesting things I learned was, in the U.S., we had, McDonald's and Burger King are the two fast food giants when I was growing up. Well, they interviewed the head real estate guy for Burger King, and they asked him, like, you stayed, kind of the David Goliath story, you stayed right on their heels all this time. How did you do it when they're the king of fast food? And the guy kind of laughed and just said, I guess I can tell you the secret now that I'm retired. We did nothing. They're like, what do you mean you did nothing? He goes, we just let McDonald's spend all their money, do all the research, find all the sites. I told my team, just sit back, wait for them to buy one, and get as close to them as you can. The people are going to head north for work, for breakfast. They'll get them. They'll come back south for us. We'll get them at dinner. And when you really think about it, there's a dentist on every corner. There's a bank on every corner that competes with each other. There's a restaurant on every corner that competes with each other. There's enough business out there for everybody, and nobody can handle all the business. If every patient in your town came to you as a clinician, you wouldn't be able to handle the work. So I think a lot of it's just realizing that you just got to work with what you have fun in the journey. I'm a big believer on the tombstone. It's not about the dates on the front and the end. It's about the dash in the middle. It's about the journey, having fun, making sure you're doing things the right way. And that's truly what it's about, versus how do I build the perfect practice and run the perfect business? Because that's never going to happen.
Yeah, I totally agree. I noticed that my last years that I had my clinic, I was working as a DJ as well.
I saw that. I've seen some of those.
I have not shown that side so much on
I've seen the couple posts on that.
Now and then I show that crazy side. And I was afraid in the beginning, like, will they not take me seriously? But then the older I got, I was like, because when you're a young dentist, all the patient, the first they say is like, oh, you're so young. Are you sure you can treat me correctly? So you struggle with that. But I remember that one day I was thinking, it was a long time ago somebody said that I look too young to be a dentist. So like, how come? Do I have more wrinkles and gray hair now? So I think with age, I was like, I'm going to show who I am, that I like music. And people loved it. I got patients who came because they saw that. They want to see that we are human beings. And of course we are. But somehow as dentists, we enter, like many of us enter this box that we have to speak. It's changing. The new generation, the younger generation, they are totally different. They can play with a lot of irony, but my generation were very serious. And if you're not serious, you're not professional, you're not good enough. But people like that.
Well, I think you have to be true and genuine to yourself. And then you're gonna build a practice that's true in general to the patients that want to deal with that. There are people that want the straight-laced, very serious dentist, and that's great. You know, I don't think everybody should be your patient. Just like I tell my teams all the time, not everybody should be your customer. You really have to be true and authentic to yourself. Find the people that are true and authentic to you, and I think you'll build a business. But I do believe it is changing. You know, back a long time ago, they didn't want dentists to advertise. That was kind of taboo to do that. Well, now that happens. You know, then it was not really showing your true side, or that you're young, or that you're old, or whatever it is, that you like to DJ, you like to dance. I've seen you dance a lot. So I mean, but that you're going to find the right type of patients for you when you do that. And I know dentists now that, you know, they have camera crews that follow them around. But they're going to find the right patients that want to do that. There's a lot of dentists doing exactly what you're doing, sitting on that side of the microphone. But just think of the right patients, the right community. I'm a huge believer in the Jim Rohn quote of "You're the average of the 5 people you hang around." The only thing I'd probably disagree a little bit on him is we probably fall down to the lowest combinator of that 5. So you always want to elevate yourself, get into better rooms, and learn different things. And I think that's what keeps you fresh, keeps you alive. Of trying different ways of doing things. And I think the best way to do it, like you said, is figure out what's the end game you want, and then talk to as many people as you can to figure out how they did it, what they do, but realize it has to be done in your way, not the way they did it. But you can still get the end result in your own way, which is what you've kind of morphed your career into, of kind of doing that. And then luckily putting your hand back to pull people up to be able to follow you and do that. And like you said in the very beginning, I'm not trying to get them to do it the way I did it. I'm just trying to give them advice of what I experienced, what I've heard from other people. And then they have to take it at that point and figure out what's best for them and how they want to build their life and their practice.
Yeah. What do you think dentists are struggling with most right now?
I think a lot of it's leadership. A lot of it's that perfection of, you know, they want to be the best dentist, and they want to really help patients. And I think a lot of it comes down to realizing that you have to do it your way. And I think a lot of times they like to do the way society says they should run a practice or what they should do. And I think sometimes they're uncomfortable stepping outside that box and really trying to be authentic and happy and doing it your way. So I think they struggle with that. They struggle with the leadership. They struggle with the people side of things. I know most dentists hate the word sales, but the way I look at it is you're in the people business and you're selling all day long. I mean, you have to sell, like you talked about in the very beginning, you have to sell yourself why I'm getting out of bed today to go to the practice. I then have to sell my team on what our mission, vision, all that is, why we come to the practice, why we want to help patients. And then I also have to, sell my patients of why the oral cavity, why oral health is a big part of overall health, and make sure they show up when they should show up for appointments, to accept treatment and do that. And we haven't even left the morning huddle yet. We've been selling all day long. So I think sometimes we got to get out of our own way and realize that, unfortunately, you have to sell treatment to patients to let them see, because they don't have the dental degree. They don't know what's going on. AI is changing some of that so they can see it. But it's the same thing when you walk into your mechanic. They're going to tell you this is wrong with the car, that's wrong with the car. Well, if you're not mechanically inclined, if you never have been a mechanic, you wouldn't know. So you're kind of hoping to trust them. So I think that's where a lot of it stems down to too. They want to be trusted. But sometimes they don't go about it the right way to get people to trust them.
Yeah. And I think that comes down to the university, like the mindset we get. Like, I don't know how it is in other countries, but I studied in Sweden, and we don't even speak about the money, and then it becomes something bad, taboo, that we shouldn't be speaking about. And then afterwards, you're in the real life where you have to speak about money, or you have your own practice and you don't know. Sometimes I had a patient that I saw for 20 minutes and I couldn't really find what it was. I took x-ray, examination, I poly, and then I was like, what should I charge? I feel bad because I was not taught to value myself or value my time and see my time. And I have studied, we are paying the rent, the light, everything. And I think that the last years in my career at my practice, then I had my practice for 18 years. At that point, I think I was pretty good. It took me many years because I realized it's like if I'm at the hairdresser, I want her to say what's the best for my hair.
Yeah.
Or any other. Yeah, I want to know all the options. So by the end of my career as a clinical dentist, I was saying all the options, everything that I saw, as if it would be my mouth or if it would be my mother's. Like, this is everything I see. I just wanted you to know it. And I think that's a very good and healthy approach.
I totally agree with that. I think really what we're obligated to give to patients is an accurate diagnosis with the most comprehensive treatment plan. It's their body, it's their mouth. They can always say no. And everyone's financial situation is different, but you shouldn't treat people that way. You should offer it as if it's your own mouth, as if it's your mother's. And I agree with you. I think dental school, it's kind of taught in a vacuum and it's not taught real world. I am seeing that change. There are dental schools now that are, putting people out into DSOs, putting them out into private practice more, trying to learn that real way of practicing dentistry. Because at the end of the day, it's a small business. If you don't make money and it is kind of still viewed as taboo, you won't be in business. So if you just want to be an associate, you don't want to own your own business, then I guess you don't have to worry about the money. But you're probably not going to be a really good associate if you're not thinking about what's best for the patient. How does the practice survive? Because I think a lot of times it's not just on the owner to make sure that practice survives. It's also on the associates to make sure that the practice is thriving, the patients are healthy, people are happy, and we're doing that. And I think, kind of where society is right now, we look at the overnight success. Well, nothing's an overnight success. No one is truly self-made. There's people that help them get there along the way, and we don't see the struggle in between the start to the finish. Like you said, 18 years later, you really figured out what you were doing. That's just how it works for any profession, any career, anything. But when we walk in day one and say, I want to be just like the person that's been doing it for 18 years. Well, that's impossible, and it's never going to happen. But people want that to happen. And if you have that perfectionist mindset, you want it on day 3 that I'm going to be just like Christina. I'm going to be like an 18-year-old veteran in the practice doing that. Well, it's not realistic. But sometimes if you have that mindset, you can't figure that out on your own, and it just takes time. But I think we worry too much about people's highlight reels and comparing that to our average day versus realizing no one really has that highlight reel. That was just one day, one moment in time. Everybody has challenges. Everybody has issues. And I think the more we open up and talk about the challenges, the struggles, and that's where I'm also seeing a lot of it change, where people are talking about what it took them to get from year 1 to year 18 and really sharing the experience and the journey of that instead of just putting up there year 18. That's the last 18 years have all been the same. It's been phenomenal. We've been successful. We've been great. It's like, I don't think that's the case, but okay.
Yeah, exactly. So what challenges do you have as a DSO?
Well, I mean, obviously with the dental support organizations, I think their challenge is it's no different than the private practice. It's just tenfold. Instead of running one practice, you're running thousands or hundreds of practices. It's all the same issues. But I think once again, if you can systemize and operationalize things, and kind of like going back to McDonald's, if you should walk into one in Illinois and walk into one in California, it should be the same experience, the same quality, the same everything. So that's the successful ones. That's what they're trying to do, is how do you do that? But once again, you're dealing with people. So if somebody doesn't want to make the burger the same way in California and Illinois, that's a possibility. So everything comes down to really working and managing people. Most businesses, and including
people,
dentistry,
are complicated to manage.
very complicated. People be really easy.
I don't know how many.
We might be there with robots. They keep saying they're going to start making. So who knows?
That is funny, because I don't know how many times I thought maybe it would be easier to work with animals, and I was Googling about it, and the veterinaries also have a lot of burnout because they have to put the animals down because the owners don't have. So every profession has their challenges.
Yeah, my daughter's actually looking to be a veterinarian, and that's what I have her doing right now, is kind of shadowing some other veterinarians, because there is a different side of the business that people don't know about, and veterinarian has creeped in front of dentistry for a high suicide rate, and it's exactly what you talked about.
Yeah,
the ones I've talked to said it's something we don't share as a community of, patients. The people will bring in the animal, and the veterinarian knows I could fix that animal, but unfortunately the owner's kind of like, well, that's going to be $5,000 to fix the dog, or I can go buy a new one for $300. So then you're left with that. So the beauty of the business is you're getting paid either way, because you're either saving the animal or you're putting the animal down. But that's a lot on your psyche of knowing. And a lot of the veterinarians I know, and I explain this to my dog, she's a humongous animal lover. That side of the business is real. And most dentists or most veterinarians will tell you they probably have 5-6 dogs running around their house because they couldn't do it. And then they get to the point where they've exhausted all their family and friends of giving them some, and before you know it, you got a zoo, and
you cannot save all the animals.
Save everybody. And so it is real on that side of the business, and that's what I just want to make her understand before you get into the schooling, like you talked about. Go through all that. Can you do that? Because if you can't do that, unfortunately, that's a large part of the business.
In the end, it all comes back to your mindset. How good are you at disconnecting? Like, I have done what I can. I'm leaving work. Now I'm home. Now I'm present here. So it all comes down to that.
Thank you so much for listening to From Stress to Success. If this episode spoke to you, please subscribe, share it with a colleague, or leave a comment, so more dental professionals can build fulfilling lives with harmony and purpose. A big thank you again to our sponsor, Smiler, for making this podcast possible. Until next time, take care and keep rising.